I've been promising a room tour of the new listening room here in Southeast Wisconsin for some time now. Today is the day. A room tour. That is what's coming up next. Hello, vinyl community, music lovers, and anyone else who's just happened to stumble upon this video. Welcome to Tone and Grooves. My name is Jeff, and what I'm about to show you is a room tour. We're 6 months now living in the Milwaukee area, kind of Southeast Wisconsin, greater Milwaukee region, and at the house where we are, I have an entire room that is mine, that is my listening room, record room, music room. And finally have, gotten some of my posters out and framed and up on the wall and things like that. So I thought today is the day. I'm going to do an in-depth room tour. I mean, you've kind of seen some of the new setup on the new trailer that I did for the channel. But today is an in-depth room tour. So we're going to get that. And that's what I'm going to walk you through. Show you the setup, show you my gear, all of that. So I'm going to step out of the way. You can get kind of a general view. This is basically from my listening position. So you can, this is where I sit. This is where I do my listening. And I'm going to take the phone off the tripod now and walk you around and give you a tour. Okay, so my listening room is off of the basement, kind of family room area. So next to the door as you come in, you got the old Graphanola, the Columbia Graphanola that is featured in the Tone and Grooves videos every time. And you come in here to the listening room here, and this view you've seen in the trailer. So this is an overall shot of the space. There's my listening chair, put a lot of my Prince posters. The IKEA shelves are all up and in place. The lamps are from IKEA, the chairs from IKEA. Here's the 78s, which are still needing to be completely organized and put in the, eventually I'll have shelves here to put those records on, but right now they're still in boxes, and the reorganization project is still going. I've got some more records to clean, probably another vinyl or shellac finds video coming soon showing those new acquisitions, and then I'm going to get those all organized. So on the back, we'll start back here. On the back wall is the CD rack. Still listen to CDs, still buy CDs. I've found it kind of funny that there's so many videos out right now on, is the CD dead? The CD's coming back. All these videos like why I still listen to CDs. I'm like, man, I never quit listening to or buying CDs. So got a few cassettes up here on the top rack. Just a few things. I'm not a big collector of cassettes. I mean, I have a cassette player, and when I find something interesting for cheap, I pick them up. I've got some number of blanks there. I thought, I'm going to do some mix tapes at some point, but just haven't gotten around to it. That top shelf there's CDs that don't fit on the lower shelves. Got a little extra space, headroom there on that top shelf for things like these are all the Beatles mono. I had the box set, and it actually got some water damage when we had an AC leak back a few years ago at another house, and so the box and the booklet and all of that got damaged, but the CDs, thankfully, because they're in these plastic sleeves, were all fine. So there's just separate, and I don't have the booklet. The Prince 1999 box set, Crystal Ball, which is an interesting package and doesn't fit on a standard shelf. So anyway, there's things like that. And then we go, rock and pop, all the way down to what we got here. Liz Phair is there. Got some music-related DVDs down here. Some David Bowie stuff, Pink Floyd, Prince, obviously, the Ken Burns jazz documentary. And then we continue back up here with Pink Floyd and Prince. All my Prince and Prince-related. You can see here everything from Minneapolis Genius, the 94 East recordings, which were done before he was... had a record contract himself, all the way through, all the Prince stuff, Prince related, The Time, The Family, Sheila E., all of that kind of stuff. Knees are cracking down through the R's. There's U2, Van Halen, ZZ Top, some compilations. Then we get a little break there. We got country CDs there, just a few. Vocalists, Andrew Sisters, Diana Krall, things like that, Frank Sinatra. There's the Ultra Lounge series of Exotica and whatnot, great stuff. Got a small section of contemporary Christian, Christmas, international, that's what's in there. Then we go back up to the top. Here's the jazz section, trad jazz and big band to start. Have here, which continues onto this shelf and onto the third shelf. Then we go into, bop and more modern jazz. There's some Art Blakey, Dave Brubeck, etc., Miles Davis, Coleman Hawkins, Art Pepper, etc., etc. Then we get into, start getting into classical here. So this is Renaissance, medieval and Renaissance CDs here. And then we get to, I have my Baroque era CDs here. Try to hold this steady. Baroque era CDs here, and then we get into romantic and modern and whatnot here. On this shelf, I've got my Mercury Living Presence CDs and RCA Living Stereos, a little bit of opera, choral music, and then down here we have soundtrack CDs. So there's the CDs. We got some closets here, one that needs a door, obviously, just some odds and ends storage stuff, a CD player and a receiver I'm trying out. Might give to my daughter because she needs a receiver she can play, hook a turntable up to. So then we go over here. So artwork, we've got some Andre Simone promo posters. There's the original poster from the Purple Rain album with Prince and the Revolution. Some Andre Simone. More over here. Little thing that my wife gave me. It's not old, vintage. There's Prince, the 1999 era. Promo poster for the Prince, the Gold Experience. I used to work at a Camelot music record store back in the day, so I have a number of promo posters that I picked up while I was working there. That one included, as well as this one from Graffiti Bridge. Big honking poster that's too big for a frame, so it's just pinned to the wall. The original Purple Rain poster that I bought when I was in, junior high, that's here. And the clock on the wall is one that my wife had made from an old junk copy of Purple Rain. So there's kind of the overall view with some of my artwork that I've got up. How I've arranged the LPs, starting with classical. So it's kind of like a chronological progression, if you will, of music. From here we've got Gregorian chants up here, Gregorian chant records, into medieval music, Renaissance, and then into the Baroque. This is all Baroque here. Then we get into, Romantic and, to modern here. And I've gone, one shelf. So through Haydn, Mozart, Prokofiev, and then back up here, Puccini, Rimsky-Korsakov, over to, then you're into Stravinsky and Tchaikovsky, Wagner, and then I've got a section here of either LPs or box sets that are specific to an orchestra or conductor, and then we get into instruments. So we got organ there, clarinet, organ, lots of organ, saxophone, trumpet, stuff like that. Then we get into some opera, which I've been trying to get into. So we got some opera sets there. More opera. We come down here to soundtracks. Soundtracks are on the bottom. This is over here. We've got some, Christmas there on the left, and then on the right is world music. Reggae, belly dance, Middle Eastern, things like that. Then we start getting into jazz. So we've got this shelf here this cube is ragtime. Ragtime, either bands or piano, things like that. Then we get into trad jazz or, Dixieland, but I guess trad jazz is kind of the catchphrase now. So early, Dixieland style jazz and artists here, as well as this cube. And then this cube now we're into big band. This is all big band, everything from, Georgie Auld to Charlie Barnett to Bunny Berrigan, Xavier Cugat, and then that continues down here with the Dorseys, Ellington, Benny Goodman, lots of Benny Goodman. Continuing over here. I've got so much Benny Goodman, I've just started going by label. So you got alphabetical by label. So you've got London, Musical Heritage Society, there's some RCA, Sunbeam, etc. This is all big band, more big band, Harry James, Stan Kenton, etc. Glenn Miller, Buddy Rich. This is all big band here. Artie Shaw. Cy Zentner. We kind of end with Cy Zentner and then compilations. Now we get into more modern jazz, bop, etc. Things like Art Blakey, Chet Baker, Miles Davis, Dexter Gordon, things like that. Jonah Jones over here, Herbie Mann, Wynton Marsalis, etc. More jazz. Lee Morgan, starts with Lee Morgan there, and whatnot. Jimmy Smith. Then we get down here, we start getting into kind of what I call lounge music, so a lot of that kind of some lounge or exotica. It's kind of but this is more lounge, easy listening, I've got things in there like, well, Earl Bostic is in there. Maybe, I don't know how much you can see on the camera. Earl Bostic, Jackie Gleason. I mentioned once I collect Jackie Gleason records, mainly for the covers. You got things like Richard Hyman, Glenn Gould, stuff like that. Tony Mottola, which is kind of, you know, Boots Randolph. Some of those things are kind of on the verge of exotica, but, and then that continues on down here. This gets more exotica. Martin Denny's in here, Arthur Lyman, stuff like that. So that's that rack. Then we come over here to this rack. Here I've got my all the stereo, kind of featured stereo thing, you know, stereo action, things like this, you know, stereo records. This is my little section of records that need to be filed. Most of those are ones that I haven't been able, those exact pressings are not in Discogs, so I got to get those entered into Discogs. Sit down here. Got 45s in that cube. 10-inch records here, CDs that are currently in the CD changer. Spoken word on the left there, just a few, and then the vocalists start. Got my duster and my, the tracking force scale or whatever, cleaner. Vocals start there. Vocal, and new acquisitions. Here's my, you know, these are the things I've picked up here most recently that are waiting to be cleaned and inventoried and whatnot. Lots of, I'm into trad jazz right now. So anyway, but was lucky to pick up that David Bowie Heroes at Bullseye Records here a couple weeks ago. So this is all vocal, lots of Frank Sinatra and Louis Prima and you know, K-Star, June Christie, Rosemary Clooney, things like that. And then we come over here to rock and pop. This is more rock and roll to start. I try to separate out pop from rock. Sometimes that's, you know, where are you going to draw the line there? But anyway, this is the rock section, you know, starting with, what do we start, you know, 38 Special, Bryan Adams, Beatles, Beach Boys, Beatles related, solo acts. That's how I file things. So you got, you know, Beatles here, and then it starts with George Harrison, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and then Apple records. So things that are on Apple, like Mary Hopkins and Elephant's Memory Band, things like that. James Taylor, stuff on the Apple label. And then it goes, we got Pat Benatar, Boomtown Rats, and then on down here to the C's, and then the D's, and to the through the H's. Just continues on down. Pop and rock, Pink Floyd related, Roger Waters, David Gilmour, etc., on down. And then over here, here's the pop section. So pop section, things like Culture Club and Escape Club and Madness and what, Madonna, you know, Olivia Newton-John. That's pop stuff, right? Taco, Talking Heads, Tears for Fears I put in the pop section. Then we go into singer-songwriter. So I put in things like Jimmy Buffett, Jonathan Edwards, Joni Mitchell, Van Morrison. I put in singer-songwriter, not in rock or pop, singer-songwriter. Laura Nero, Sean Phillips, stuff like that. Linda Ronstadt, Paul Simon, Art Garfunkel. Then we get into the kind of funk and soul, There's my Purple Rain picture disc that my daughter gave me for Christmas. So, you know, starts with Booker T and the MGs, Cameo, Commodores, you know, into, I put Prince here. I mean, you know, where do you classify Prince, right? Is that rock? Is that pop? Is that funk? Is that soul? Yes, it's all of the above. But anyway, I put it in here. So Prince, lots and lots of Prince and Prince related. You know, I've done a video on this before, but, you know, Apollonia 6 and all the stuff on Paisley Park, Ingrid Chavez, George Clinton is in here. All the either Prince related or Paisley Park is in here. Madhouse. And then continuing on down here, Sheila E., The Time, including Morris Day, Jesse Johnson. Anybody who played in The Time is in here. Wendy and Lisa. And then it continues on with Diana Ross, you know, Rufus and whatnot. Then we have a little bit of a disco section there. Not much, but a little bit of a disco section. And then this is kind of what this little section here, I kind of like this is kind of like, the white funk bands, you know, like Wild Cherry, basically Wild Cherry, Hummingbird, Average White Band, you know, stuff like that. Oh no, this is the disco section here. Sorry, got ahead of myself. This is disco. ABBA, you know, things like Cafe Creme, Daft Punk, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Tuxedo Junction, stuff like that. We get a little bit of Christian here. And then down here, this is country. We got the country down here. We got 2 cubes of country. Lots of Johnny Cash. Lots of John Denver. Lots of Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. Lots of Tanya Tucker. And yeah, that's kind of that. And of course the 78s. Boxes and boxes and boxes of 78s. So we'll check out the system itself. I'll give you a little tour of that. Speakers, I've got an old pair of JBLs. I don't even remember see if I can get this off of here. They're kind of, the grills have kind of been broken over the years, so it gets a little difficult to, here's my JBLs. Is that the Northridge series, I think it was? You know, I bought these mainly at the time for a surround sound system for watching movies, and now they've become the main speakers in my stereo setup. The heart of the system is, there's my Prince, the original box that the Sign of the Times special deluxe edition was in, that I keep there. I don't really like it there, but the cats love to jump up on the stereo. So that is there to try to intimidate the cats and keep them from jumping up on my Marantz receiver that I actually bought soon after moving here. That was essentially a birthday present using birthday money that was gifted to me. So it's a Marantz PM 5005. So I got that used at Record Head in West Allis, just outside of Milwaukee. It's been a great amplifier. Love the way it sounds. Really happy with the performance on that. I'm going right to left, apparently. Technics turntable, 5-disc changer. What is that? I don't know what model number it is. SLPD887. Works well, sounds good. My Audio Technica turntable with stereo and mono cartridges, and the 78 cartridge sitting there in the back. And then over here, got my little Prince bobblehead, or whatever that is. Those aren't bobbleheads. What do you call those? Whatever those things are called. My wife bought that for me. So, and my little Paisley Park from the Paisley Park tour we took, my son and I. Little backstage pass kind of a deal. I've got a Burn It CD burner that's purple. Goes perfectly well with the prints, right? Just kind of put that in here haven't really, I've kind of played with it, but haven't actually burned any CDs yet. But really great CD player. It sounds good. Playing CDs on here just sounds amazing. And then my dual cassette deck, Technics RSTR210. I actually got that for free. So that was had a friend who was a manager of a mall, and there were some things left behind in a store, some stereo equipment, and this was one of the things that was left behind. And she called me up and said, hey, you're into stereos and records and whatnot. Would you be interested in this? We just need to get rid of this stuff because we're turning this store around so that someone else can rent it. And these things were left behind. So I just inherited that for free. So there's the setup. It's an IKEA shelf, Kallax, sitting the wrong way. So that's why I'm trying not to put too many things on the shelves on top. We'll get that, squared away at one point. Maybe put two cubes in there instead of the one shelf on its side, make that a little more sturdy. So that's in the plans, but yet to come. My speakers are well out from the wall. I watched a number of videos on stereo setup. One of the best ones and most helpful was done by New Record Day. If you don't know the channel New Record Day, check it out. He does reviews of stereo equipment and has a whole video on setting up, placing your speakers in your space. And I'm going to sit down in my chair. Following his suggestions and playing around with it. This is what sounds great to have them there and out into the room. It really creates a sense of three dimensions there. You'll get a nice sound field, especially in between and even, outside those speakers. Unfortunately, it's pretty narrow in here, especially with the shelves. But it really does create a nice sense of depth and three dimensions, which really it sounds great. So I sit here with Prince and listen to music here in my IKEA chair with a nice little purple blanket that my wife got for me for Christmas. So, because it does get a little chilly down here. So can throw the blanket on and sit and listen to music and use the remote control on the Marantz, and the Burn It CD player has a remote control. So when I need that, I can just sit here. Don't even have to get up unless I'm listening to vinyl, obviously. But this is the space. It's really turned out to work really well. And here's a view without the overhead fluorescent lights on, just the IKEA lights, those towers, if you will. Definitely a totally different vibe in the room without those stupid fluorescent lights on. So this is how it usually is when I'm sitting and listening. Much more chilled out and relaxed. The space has really worked out well. There's brick wall on basically two walls, and I was really, when it was determined that this was going to be my room, I was a little concerned about that. I thought that was going to really create a lot of, kind of an echo chamber, lots of reverberation and whatnot. But it's actually, this room is probably the deadest room in the whole house, actually. So it's really turned out well. It has a, it's not an echoey room at all. And so it's really worked out perfectly for a listening space. So this is it. This is my new home, my new music room, my listening space. It's turned out to be really great, and a nice retreat, and a great space for listening. Thank you for joining me and visiting and hanging out. Literally, not literally, but thank you for hanging out in my space and checking it out. Chime in, drop some comments, ask some questions, whatever. Always good to interact. And thank you so much for watching, commenting, subscribing. That's always great. Always appreciated. As I say, never expected, but always appreciated. And until next time, stay in the groove.